Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Continent 8's Tribal Talks Cybersecurity Unlocked podcast series, where we delve into journeys, successes, lessons learned, and best practices of the iGaming, gaming, and online sports betting industry. Continent 8 has powered and protected the global gaming market for over 25 years. I'm your host, Jerad Swimmer, Regional Sales Director at Continent 8, specializing in the tribal and American gaming sector. Today, in episode 2, titled Cybersecurity, Our Tribal Responsibility, we'll explore how Continent 8 supports North American tribes with cybersecurity strategies and solutions to thrive in today's digital landscapes. From DDoS and WAP protection to managed SOC and SIEM, we have the solutions you need to keep your tribal gaming operations safe. Today, we'll be talking with Craig Lusher. And Craig, welcome to the show. Can you please introduce yourself and give a little bit of a background and your experience for our listeners?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Jerad. So my name's Craig Lusher. I've been with Continent 8 for 9 years now, coming up to 10. And I've worked in many roles, from technical solutions architect and pre-sales through to doing a bit of business development in the Philippines and in Asia. And now I work within the product team, specifically focusing on security and how we can drive secure solutions forward. So I'm the product principal at Continent 8.
Nice, very nice. All right, thank you, Craig. Could you please tell us about how Continent 8 has been helping businesses across the globe stay ahead of the latest cyber threats?
Sure. So Continent 8 has two brands, really. So there's Continent 8 Technologies. We're known as a global leader in technology and cybersecurity solutions. It focuses mostly on iGaming and online sports betting industries. But then we have C8 Secure brand as well, which is a separate brand, generally used outside of gaming. But sometimes, we do use it too. And it's an MSSP. So it's a managed security solutions provider. And it's dedicated exclusively to cybersecurity. We've gained traction in public sector, banking, finance, and retail as well through C8 Secure. So Continent 8 and C8 Secure's approach to cybersecurity is all about defense in depth, which is essentially layered security. And we provide holistic managed solutions, using that defense in depth methodology. We have threat intelligence and sharing platforms, and the aim is to protect businesses against, the evolving cyber threats.
It's a great approach, very great approach. Could you elaborate a little bit on those services that's offered?
Sure. So obviously we cover a broad spectrum of cybersecurity requirements as an MSSP, and the strategy that we have is that we implement multiple layers of security. So the idea is that adversaries have kind of multiple layers they need to jump through, or multiple hurdles they need to jump in order to kind of get the goal. That gives us extra time when it comes to security, because it takes longer for these fences to be jumped. And it's kind of best practices as well. So we follow NIST and ISO frameworks for cybersecurity, as well as jurisdictional requirements, and again, that defense in depth approach.
So can you explain to our listeners what is defense in depth approach?
Sure. So it's the layering. So multiple security controls and how it protects organizations' assets. So it's often visualized as concentric rings or layers, a bit like an onion, with each layer providing a different type of a protection to the previous. So the idea is that no single security measure is perfect. So the more layers you have, the harder it is for attackers to breach a system. And if one layer fails, there's other pieces in place to continue protecting the system. So the types of layers would include network security, for example. So this could be DDoS mitigation, could be firewalls, intrusion detection or prevention systems. Then you've got endpoint security, so endpoint detection and response in servers, laptop, workstations, tablets, mobile phones, etc. And that's including multi-factor authentication, application security. So you've got web application protection, you've got kind of the WAF firewalls, API protection, so ensuring that the APIs that you're providing are secure and can't be taken, can't be exploited. Then there's the encryption, vulnerability scanning, things like that on the applications. Data security is all about access controls, making sure things are encrypted at rest and backups, all that kind of thing, and the integrity of that data. Physical security, obviously we run multiple data centers. We're not just focusing on the technology that helps protect security, but also, or helps protect data, we're also concentrating on physical security of those data centers. So we have the methodologies in place to make sure that there's secure access. We've got cameras, we've got constant monitoring of the security, but also the environmentals within that. And then obviously you've got the locks and the DCs themselves, some of which we have that are, located deep underground in Gibraltar, for instance. Then there's the human layer. So this is a very important layer. So we kind of refer to this as the human firewall. So the more education people have, the better, more informed decisions that it can make. And we all know that when it comes to cybersecurity at the moment, making sure that your human resources are as aware and up to speed of what's going on. So user education and awareness training is also important. Some of that, is simulations as well for certain attacks and certain situations.
That's good because, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's very interesting because we always hear human error. And the reason we have human error is because they don't have the tools to use to protect that human error. So giving them all this, what you're talking about, is an amazing thing for the human layer.
Yeah, exactly that. And the human error is one thing, but again, if you don't know about something and you're just kind of clicking through, it's all about the awareness as well. So certainly, Jerad, those things coupled are very important. So there's kind of two prongs for that as well. You can protect and you can prevent, right? So prevention is all about awareness training, making sure your workforce is up to speed, and then the protection layer that kind of sits behind that, where if something does fall through the cracks, you've still got technology there to prevent something from catastrophic from happening. So that could be your EDR, that could be something on the mobile phones, and there's multiple different routes you could go down there. That's a good example of the layering. Then how do you monitor and respond to this? So being able to respond quickly will prevent the longer that a hacker has to get in the system and get his fingers in or tentacles in, the longer that they have to actually, or the less likely you are to retain that control. So it's all about acting fast as well and making sure that portcullis gets dropped as soon as it can, and to stop anyone coming in. So monitoring and response is important. We have a managed SOC with a SIM. The SIM is kind of like a collection of logs. Everything goes to that one database. And then we've got the managed response team on top of that. So the humans that sit there and respond to what's going on with the SIM.
That's very nice because a lot of tribes don't have the team. They're working with one or two people in their IT department. They can't do all this. So having that managed, SOC SIM is an amazing extension of that team by having you all.
Definitely. And, the SOC SIM works in conjunction with the IT teams as well. So it's like an extension of the IT team. So we follow processes that go along with, how you're used to following. And we make sure that what we do fits in with the tribal that we're helping. Obviously, compliance to standards and frameworks as well is important. So if everything runs at a particular standard, so we do auditing for ISO, for GL 1933. Also, there's PCI DSS and things you've got to take into consideration, as well as jurisdictional nuances and NIST, and some other kind of cybersecurity frameworks that are in there as well. One important thing with cybersecurity also is to know your weak spots. You've almost got to know what you don't know, and that's either an accepted risk, or you could do regular vulnerability and penetration testing, and you can test systems to make sure that you get full visibility of what's going on within the system. So yeah, you can help track through vulnerability assessment, and that can be, you would run a vulnerability assessment, and then a few months later you would run it again. The idea is you would prioritize a list and log the vulnerabilities, and then give the companies resources to go through and actually knock them off the list, essentially, to make their systems less vulnerable.
And it's not necessarily a requirement right now, but it is the trend, and um, it is smart for tribes and casinos and businesses to do that regular VAPT testing, that vulnerability assessment, pen test. Um, it just keeps you on your toes. You're always in the know, and it also helps with your audits very
That's
much.
right. Yeah,
But what
definitely.
are some of the quick benefits, just a quick review of the benefits to having all of that for a tribe?
Sure. So I suppose more security systems you have in place, the more layers you have, it increases the difficulty and the cost for attackers to actually get into your system. If you find some car keys on the floor, you pick them up and it opens the car, you can jump in it and drive away straight away. But if it's got a security system and a mobilizer, a lock, it's just that additional time it takes to get through these layers of protection, and they'll just give yours a miss and go for the next one that's unlocked with his windows open, right? So
Hmm.
it's all about reducing the difficulty, increasing the difficulty for attackers, and the cost it involves with actually taking on a breach in a particular tribe's location. So also, it provides more time for us or the IT department to detect that something's happening. More alarm bells get tripped, the more triggers that are activated, and it gives us longer to actually respond to threats and follow the plan. Um, it also it also creates that plan in the first place, but it also reduces the impact of a breach if one occurs. You can silo certain spots,
Hmm.
so if something is breached, it's contained within a certain area. You put the bulkheads up, essentially.
And how does one implement this? How long is that process, and what all involves that, just to implement
Sure.
these tools?
Yeah, so I suppose to implement this stuff, it depends what's taken, but um, different combinations of tools, technologies, and practices are kind of put together. And we could work with the tribe over a few weeks to kind of get an assessment put together. After that, we can roll on as quickly or as slowly as possible as needed. And we've got teams here that are sitting there waiting to go. Um, Obviously, things require ongoing management and updates to stay effective against the evolving and emerging threats. But Content 8 and C8 Secure, do this as part of our day to day.
Nice, nice. With that in mind, what's the biggest vulnerability businesses face, and what is the most obvious blind spot?
Okay. The biggest vulnerability, I suppose, we've spoken about end users and how humans make mistakes. So
Hmm.
humans are really the most vulnerable part of any business, sadly. But
Yeah.
according to Verizon, their 2023 data breach investigations say that 74% of data breaches involve some kind of human interaction, right? So that's huge.
Yeah, that's a big
Um,
number.
it is a big number, and it makes the human element by far, the most common threat vector in cybersecurity. So whether that's credentials have been compromised, or some other kind of human error or misconfiguration, but yeah, humans are involved most of the time. So another obvious thing is a blind spot is mobile devices. So every corporate every corporation has mobile devices these days, but they're
Hmm.
used for personal and corporate tasks. Okay, so they're always connected. They have a high number of alerts that come through all the time, and they're susceptible to multiple forms of phishing. So you don't just get an email, which we've all seen email phishes. You get SMS pictures, you get them on WhatsApp, you get them on
Mhm.
Teams. Yeah, we've all got them all the time, no matter what time of day or night, whatever state you're in as well. You've got your phone handy, and it's a lot easier and quicker to just kind of accept things, and you don't expect it as much. It's a blind spot because companies don't actually secure their mobile devices. It's almost just like an unwritten rule that are almost forgotten, but they do have access, and more as time moves on, do have access to secure company data, and being able to segregate that and ensure that they're protected is an important thing. Um, so what's the solution for those things? So we've got a tool called SafeBait. That's awareness training for end users, for the human resource. And it also does phishing simulations, not just on email, but as I mentioned, those multiple modes such as SMS, WhatsApp, voice, but also MFA, multi-factor authentication, and QR codes as well. So
Mhm.
we see a lot of QR codes. Sometimes in car parks, for instance, there's you have a QR code, you scan it, and you can go to a payment page to pay to park your car. But sometimes, people stick stickers over that with their own QR code. So you put in your credit card, and all of a sudden you're making payment to somebody else, but they've also got your credit card data. So it's all about ensuring that your employees are good with that. Um, then there's the EDR solutions. Mobile Protect extends an EDR solution to mobile devices as well. So it acts like
Right.
a firewall on your mobile device.
So a lot of people don't know, but mobile devices are in the mix. Most people don't realize that corporate data could be vulnerable from mobile devices.
Yep.
So with that being said, is there a way to view status from all devices, phones, laptop, server, firewalls, etc., all in one place?
Yeah, sure. There is. So I guess it's a really foundational part of cybersecurity, but a SIM is a security information and event management system. And what it does is it's a centralized repository for collecting security logs and information from all devices, wherever they are.
Hmm.
So it pulls in the logs, and it uses AI to analyze and correlate the events that are happening in real time, or for like a recent past within 3 to 6 months or so. And as that analyzes these events from disparate systems, it can find patterns or inform on kind of current situations that are happening and add context to what's going on. So you might see that a port has been open on a firewall whilst something else is going on at the same time, and this could identify that somebody is actually in the network and working their way through, and it's kind of setting the systems ready to dive in and properly infiltrate. So it's kind of like a early warning system,
Hmm.
and it can be used as well to enrich those security events with threat intelligence. So we sit in a sector at the moment that is quite heavily attacked, and we see different attacks coming from different places quite frequently. We can use some of that information to inform on other customers, right? So we know
Nice.
that we might have realized that in the dark web somewhere that there's a group that's attacking casinos specifically. So we could use that information and the type of attack that they describe to inform on what's actually going on. So we can enrich all of these logs with threat intelligence, and it offers new insights on those exploits, threats, and considerations, really. Um, so the aim of the SIM is actually to deliver relevant information as quickly as you can to SOC analysts. So it ensures that those kind of human SOC analysts have all the data they need right at their fingertips. And it just really emphasizes the importance of timely information during a cyber attack, as every moment that goes by is critical.
So that's a very great point, because now if a customer, a tribe wants to have a SIM, they they're not isolated to just what's in their area and trying to stay up on what's going on around them and in the neighboring casinos or whatever. They actually have a team like yours that's working around the world, keeping them informed about all this and keeping them up to date and keeping up with the times and the attackers. So
Mhm.
that's a very, very, very handy tool for them. So the SIM is a centralized security view. But what's
Yeah.
the point in this aside, other than it being nice to have? Other than what we just talked about,
Yeah.
what is the added value to the businesses to have a SIM?
Sure. So, I mean, it's more than just a centralized view or a dashboard and report. So, as I mentioned, it's foundational technology in modern security systems. It's the tool that SOC analysts, who are highly skilled, expensive, and in short supply at the moment, which makes it difficult to find and retain them. It's the tool that they go to. Okay, it's their go-to tool. It's what powers what they do. So it allows them to then simplify their work and focus on areas where their expertise is needed, rather than just going through and reviewing each and every log from every equipment that's out there.
Hmm.
So what the sim does is it ingests and analyzing those billions of security events every single month, and it's a volume that just wouldn't be manageable for humans, right? Um, and it addresses the alert fatigue. So because it efficiently handles this overwhelming number of alerts, it prevents exhaustion, and critical events aren't being missed either. So without a SIM, only 4% of security events are typically viewed, leading to significant blind spots. It's almost like, what's the point in having all this security system if no one's watching it, right?
Sure.
Um, and it improves the understanding of events, and it integrates all that information, as we spoke about, to as many different systems as possible. So it offers the businesses both real-time and historical views of network activity and what's going on within the systems, and it reduces the burden on SOC analysts, essentially freeing up their time to focus on investigative and remedial work, and it enhances their job satisfaction, right? These highly skilled people, you don't want to be sitting there going through logs day after day. You need them actually doing the work that they want to do, otherwise they're going to walk. So yeah, it makes their job easier. More importantly, it reduces the time and increases the clarity from the event trigger right the way through to remediation. It makes the whole thing kind of just more efficient and reduces cost at the end of the day. So cost spent on humans, cost spent on investigating, and time, all of that gets cut. And an MSSP, like an MSOC service from Continent 8 or CH Secure, ensures those cost savings over and above like an in-house SOC. So if you outsource that SOC, you get economies of scale, and it's about a fifth of the cost of having 24-hour and 24/7 staff. So an MSSP would be able to bring those economies of scale to an organization of any size. So if it's very small to very large, and there's something to help everybody in this.
Wow, that's great. So we hear cost savings and economies of scale. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for the decision makers at the top, that's what they hear. That's what they like.
Yeah,
So it is saving
yeah.
time. So that's very beneficial. That's very great information. And that's going to wrap it up for today. This is a part one of two series. And what that kind of leads us into for our next discussion will be it's saving the tribes and customers money and economies, but what can it do with cybersecurity insurance? Can it save money there as well? And so I think when we come back with Craig, that's where we'll continue, and we'll start off with talking about that because I know there's a lot of people wanting to hear about that, talk about it, and you know, maybe those customers that have already been attacked, just like a person that had a car wreck, their insurance, they're more liable now. So the insurance is going to keep going up, or somebody's not going to carry them. So how can companies like Continent 8 help those particular customers with keeping it down? So thank you very much, Craig. We appreciate you joining us. And like I said, we'll be back for part 2. I want to thank you for coming, and a big thank you to our viewers and listeners. If you have any questions, please feel free to visit our website, continent8.com and c8secure.com, or you can contact us at sales@continent8.com. And please stay tuned for our next podcast. Thank you again for tuning in to Tribal Talk Security, Cybersecurity Unlocked.